Yehovah, please fill me with the Ruach HaKodesh, that I may speak your written words with boldness to those who listen. I ask all these things in Yeshua HaMashiach's name, amen. We'll start with the Shema, listen and obey. Children of Yehovah, pay careful attention and respond. Yehovah is our power and authority. Yehovah works in unity with himself, and you shall act upon your love to Yehovah with your power and authority, with your thoughts in mind, with your entire body, and with all the muchness that you have. Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. Hand, behold, nail, behold. Genesis chapter 37. Yaakov continued living in the land where his father had lived as a foreigner, the land of Canaan. Here is the history of Yaakov. When Yosef, was 17 years old, he used to pasture the flock with his brothers, even though he was still a boy. Once, when he was with the sons of Bala, the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, he brought a bad report about them to their father. Now Israel loved Joseph the most of all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a long-sleeved robe. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all the brothers, they began to hate him and reached the point of where they couldn't even talk with him in a civil manner. Joseph had a dream which he told his brothers, and that made them hate him all the more. He said to them, "Listen, while I tell you about this dream of mine. We were tying up bundles of wheat in the field, when suddenly my bundle got up by itself and stood upright. Then your bundles came, gathered around mine, and prostrated themselves before it." His brothers retorted, "Yes, you will certainly be our king. You'll do a great job bossing us around." And they hated him still more for his dreams and for what he said. He had another dream, which he told his brothers. "Here, I had another dream. And there were the sun, the moon, and 11 stars prostrated themselves before me." He told his father too, as well as his brothers, but his father rebuked him. "What is this dream that you have had? Do you really expect me, your mother, and your brothers to come and prostrate ourselves before you on the ground?" His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in mind. After this, when his brothers had gone to pasture their father's sheep in Shechem, Israel asked Joseph, "Aren't your brothers pasturing the sheep in Shechem? Come, I will send you to them." He answered, "Here I am." He said to him, "Go now, see whether things are going well with your brothers and with the sheep, and bring word back to me." So he sent him away from the Hebron valley, and he went to Shechem, where a man found him, wandering around in the countryside. The man asked him, "What are you looking for?" "I'm looking for my brothers," he answered. "Tell me, please, where are they pasturing the sheep?" The man said, "They've left here because I heard them say, 'Let's go to Datan.'" Joseph went after his brothers and found them in Datan. They spotted him in the distance, and before he arrived where they were, they had already plotted to kill him. They said to each other, "Look, this dreamer is coming. So come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of these water cisterns here. Then we'll say some wild animal devoured him. We'll see what becomes of his dreams." But when Reuben heard this, he saved him from being destroyed by them. He said, "We shouldn't take his life. Don't shed blood," Reuben said. "Throw him in the cistern here in the wilds. Don't lay hands on him yourselves." He intended to rescue him from them later and restore him to his father. So it was that when Joseph arrived to be with his brothers, they stripped off his robe, the long-sleeved robe he was wearing, and took him and threw him into the cistern. The cistern was empty without any water in it. Then they sat down to eat their meal. But as they looked up, they saw in front of them a caravan of Jerusalem coming from Gilead. Their camels loaded with aromatic gum, healing raisin, and opium. on their way down to Egypt. Yehuda said to his brothers, "What advantage is it to us to kill our brother and cover up his blood? Come, let's sell him to the Jerusalem, instead of putting him to death with our own hands. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh." His brothers paid attention to him. So when Midian merchants passed by, they drew and lifted Joseph up out of the cistern and sold him for a half-pound of silver shekels to the Jerusalem, who took Joseph onto Egypt. Reuben returned to the cistern, and upon seeing that Joseph wasn't in it, tore his clothes in mourning. He returned to his brothers and said, "The boy isn't there. Where can I go now?" They took Joseph's robe, killed a male goat, and dipped the robe in the blood. Then they sent the long-sleeved robe and brought it to their father, saying, "We found this. Do you know if it's your son's robe or not?" He recognized it and cried, "It's my son's robe! Some wild animal has torn Joseph in pieces and eaten him." Yaakov tore his clothes and put sackcloth around his waist, mourning his son for many days. Though all his sons and daughters tried to comfort him, he refused all consolation, saying, "No, I will go down to the grave to my son mourning." And his father wept for him. In Egypt, the Midian sold Joseph to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officials, a captain of the guard. How can we learn to love our Creator after reading Genesis 37? We can learn some greatness. We can learn some wisdom. We can aim to live where Jehovah tells us to live, even if it's as a foreigner. Know that Joseph pastured the flock with his brothers when he was 17 years old. Aim to be cautious when showing favoritism to your children. Aim for family unity. Keep your dreams to yourself unless others show genuine interest in knowing. Know that Jehovah speaks future events to us in our dreams. Know your audience when speaking. Aim never to become jealous. Aim to obey your father and mother's instructions, and Jehovah will protect you. Aim to remove hate from your heart as soon as you become aware that it is there. Do not murder. Know that murder starts with hate planted in your heart. Plan to do good to those you may not like. Trust that what man's plans for evil, Jehovah can turn into good. Aim to be compassionate and think things through before you act. Trust that Jehovah has a plan for you even if you are sold off by your brothers to local drug dealers for being a dreamer. Aim to be honest no matter how hard it is. Take your hurt and anger to Jehovah, for he hears you and can work all things together for good. Trust Jehovah. How can we love others as Yeshua loves us? We can aim for family unity. Bear one another's burdens. We can aim to be compassionate even in a bad situation. Produce spiritual fruit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, humility, and self-control. And with Arianic blessing. Jehovah will kneel before you presenting gifts, and he will guard you with a hedge of protection. Jehovah will illuminate the wholeness of his being toward your bringing order, and he will provide you with love, sustenance, and friendship. Jehovah will lift up the wholeness of his being and look upon you and will set in place all you need to be whole and complete.